everybody, it's Red Ratchet, and I'm going to be ranking all of the Ratchet Clank models and media, the designs, Ratchet Clank designs. Yay! Okay, so I made this tier list, which I'll link in the description and the comment section and somewhere else probably, if you guys want to do your own ranking. This should be in order of when these have appeared. So yeah, okay, let's get started. All right, so beginning at the beginnings of Ratchet Clank, we got to start with Ratchet Clank 2002, the Ratchet Clank 2002 model, and I really love this model. I'm very biased to liking Ratchet Clank, the first game, as most of you know. So, you know what? It's not gonna be too surprising where I rank this. But I mean, listen, this is the classic Ratchet and Clank. I love the way they're designed. I love the way Ratchet is animated. You can tell that there was a lot of effort and love and passion put behind this game. And I mean, honestly, with all of these, even the ones that I'm not a huge fan of, I think that that's pretty obvious. But this is like my favorite design of Ratchet and Clank, so I'm gonna put it in the very top. I know we're starting off pretty strong here, but you know what? That's how I feel, and feel free to disagree. So we're doing that. Yay! Okay. All right. Moving on. We have this is a bit of a weird one, a bit of an obscure kind of one-off one, I don't know, but I really love this design, this look, I guess, for Ratchet & Clank, and this is the Ratchet & Clank 2002 animated commercial. So this was like a very brief commercial that was animated, I think, for Europe. Like I know it aired in like Germany and maybe like the UK or something, but I love the way Ratchet like look in this. They're just so cool, and it just gives me a lot of like nostalgia vibes, even though I haven't actually, like, I watched this commercial many years later because I didn't know it existed. You know, I live in America, so, but it reminds me of like the Buzz Lightyear cartoon. Does anyone remember that show? Anyways, but it just, yeah, it reminds me of like a lot of late 90s, early 2000s cartoons, like a very, like, I don't know, Cartoon Network kind of look of Ratchet and Clank, and I love it a lot. It's probably one of my favorite designs, and so this is also gonna go at the very top. It's a very it's a neat one that I don't see many people talk about, so I included it on here because it's awesome. So anyways, yeah, and both of them look cool. Okay, moving on, we have the Ratchet and Clank Going Commando models. So, okay, in the technicality sense, right, the Ratchet and Clank PS2 models, the first 3 games have the same exact model, right? Like, they're technically the same model. But they are animated differently, and there are probably some slight changes regarding the designs. Like, I think it's pretty obvious here. And I do like the Going Commando look a lot, just because that sounds so weird out of context. Oh my god! But I think that Ratchet and Clank do look pretty great here. I do think I just prefer the original Ratchet and Clank design. At least Ratchet. Clank looks about the same. Like, honestly, it's still Clank, which is awesome. You know, you nailed him. He's great. But Ratchet, I just am not as huge of a fan of the armor designs, regarding the older PS2 Ratchet games, the first 3 games, just because it felt, I don't know, like, he already had a great look. Like, you didn't need to shove all this armor on him, but I don't know, it was a fun mechanic, I get it. With that being said, I still like this design a lot, so I think I'm gonna, at least for right now, I'm gonna put it in S tier. I think that's a pretty fair enough spot, but I don't think it's quite as good as these two yet. Yeah, okay. Alright, moving on. Next up we got, again, this is a weird one. This is a bit of a, it's something. the Ratchet and Clank Japanese mascot costumes. Yeah, so in Japan, Ratchet and Clank, for some reason, in order to, like, appeal, I guess, more to that audience, they created, like, these live-action commercials that were kind of, you know, they're kind of like the ones that we got in America and Europe and stuff. But you know, they had these crazy costumes, like literally Ratchet and Clank were there. And honestly, I like the I like the mascot. Like, I don't know, I like this design for Ratchet and Clank. The only weird thing that I think most people would agree with is just that Ratchet's eyebrows, man. Like, it's so weird. I can't get over this. Like, that's literally 2 caterpillars just sitting on his face. Like, I know he already has huge eyebrows, but, like, this is ridiculous, man. He's got extra stripes. But Clank looks adorable. Like, look at him. He's just vibing. Honestly, I want that Clank. I want that Clank. That's so sick. Anyways, yeah, so I'm gonna put this, oh man, okay. I guess I should quickly say triple S means, like, this is perfect, this is the best. S is really great. A is really, really good. B is, yeah, C is fine, D is bad, F is horrible. Okay, so I think I'm gonna put them in B, at least for right now. I think that makes sense. Yeah, so we're gonna put them in B for right now. I might move it later on, I don't know, we'll find out. I don't know what's going on. Okay, so next we have the Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal models. And so this is also, like, again, this is technically the same model as the first 2 games, like, really. The only difference is, again, the design, especially for Ratchet. Clank, again, he just doesn't change. He doesn't age. I don't know what he does. He just never ages. But Ratchet, he definitely has, I don't know if I like the armors in Up Your Arsenal. I think I might like the armors a bit more, actually, than Going Commandos, now that I think about it. Like, I do like this green armor more than the Going Commando one. But it's pretty much the same. Like, it's really not, like, we aren't seeing any significant changes here, right? Like, it's really just like, look, this is a different outfit now. Like, that's kind of it. And I think that they honestly nailed it from the beginning. They didn't really need to add other outfits, but, you know, here we are. So I'm gonna put him actually above the Going Commando look. They're basically the same, though, so I don't know. Whoa. Whoa, okay. Yeah. Yeah, okay. What? Yeah. Oh, God. So here we have, so this is a bit of a weird one. Again, a lot of people are going to be probably like, what is this? Like, why is this here? This is not a model, just like the mascot one. Guys, listen, I don't know what's going on. I made a tier list, and I was like, I want to include this in here because I want to, so this is here. This is the Ratchet and Clank Going Mobile sprite. So this is, I don't know, I kind of like this one, but I also don't like this one because, you know, it's a sprite. And so Ratchet looks fine here, like, he looks pretty good, but Clank, it's kind of weird because usually most people criticize the way Ratchet looks, right? Like, that's kind of how it goes. He usually changes really significantly throughout these models and designs and stuff, and Clank is actually pretty consistently about the same. Like, he's pretty good. But here, I don't like Clank. I don't like the way he looks. He looks like a blob, to me at least. He looks a little off. And I mean, listen, it's limitation, right? Like, this is a really old flip phone game that like, was around for a very brief, like, couple of years, right? Like, not many people played this thing. So I'm gonna rank it pretty low, pretty much just because I think Clank looks weird. Even though it is kind of a fun nostalgic thing, I think that there's potential of having a better 2D Ratchet and Clank sprite, but this is the only one that's, like, mainline in, like, an actual game or something, as opposed to, like, a side game, like a Flash game or something. So that's why I included it, but I'm gonna put it in C tier. I think it's not awful. I mean, it's fun. It's kind of a nostalgic, but, like, it's fine, you know? Like, you can't... It's basically if you took the Going Commando or Up Your Arsenal models and then tried to make it into, like, a Genesis or Super Nintendo system kind of sprite. So it's interesting, though. It's interesting. Moving on, we have Ratchet Deadlocked. Okay. This one. Whew. Okay. So even though, okay, I've talked about this before, I am not a huge fan of Deadlocked. I mean, I do like Deadlocked. I like that game. I think it's fun, especially with another person. It's very fun. There's a lot of cool weapons. but it's still kind of a black sheep in my eyes when it comes to the PS2 Ratchet games. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the models, and this is the first time we actually have a completely new model for one of our main duo here of Ratchet and Clank, like in the actual games, and that's Ratchet, and he looks so much better. At least to me, he looks a lot better than before, and I think part of it is because we were, we had a great design here, and they kind of just were like, all right, let's give him these armors, and they weren't quite as good. And I think that they nailed it though with Deadlocked. I think that this is one of the best like models and designs for Ratchet and Clank. Like, they just look great. And Clank, again, he doesn't change. He looks exactly like he did in Ratchet 1, like the beginning of the PS2 era and then the end of the PS2 era. He's literally me. Like, I have not like changed at all. Anyways, but yeah, we're gonna put them in S tier. I don't think I'd put them, I don't know if I'd put them above this commercial. Okay, we're gonna keep it just like this for right now, but this is definitely one of my favorite models for Ratchet and Clank. Like, I think that, yeah, it's awesome. Alright, here's another weirdly kinda, I don't even know, this is definitely an obscure one. I don't blame anyone for not knowing this one. It's so stupid. I don't know why I went out of my way to get some of these, they're so dumb. Anyways, here we have the Ratchet and Clank, Ratchet Deadlocked commercial from Japan. And this is an actual CGI model that they used very briefly at like the end of one of their ads, which I'm sure I'll play.
溜まってんだね。こっちの方がスッキリよ。ラチェット&クランクフォース。
PlayStation.
But yeah, this is something. It sure is. I think I like this more than the actual like mascots. Just, I don't know. Actually, I mean, I don't know. It's not. It's like at the same level. It's fine. Like, it's just the same weird design choices, obviously from Japan, with the extra stripes on his face and the eyebrows. But I think I kind of have a bit more charm. I think this has a bit more charm. Actually, you know what? No, I do think that I'm sorry, I'm so indecisive. I think that the mascots have a bit more charm to them, just because of the fact that there's literally a person underneath that mascot, which is insane, honestly, to think about. Like, why is someone doing that? But yeah, this is a weird one, and it only appeared for like 3 seconds at the end of an ad. So I don't know. I'm gonna leave it here for right now, but it probably is gonna get lower, honestly. Moving on. Oh yes, okay, so the Ratchet and Clank manga. So again, I know, listen, we're mostly talking about models here, but we're also talking about some media, okay? I put some media here. And so the Ratchet and Clank manga is very bizarre, very weird, and the way Ratchet and Clank look is also very weird. I do appreciate the fact that they did keep, honestly, Ratchet's most, like, iconic design, which is, you know, his look from the first game. Like, I get it. I think that makes sense, that they kept that up. Like, you can see even in these ones, they kept that, because it's the best look. I'm just being honest, guys. I don't think that this is great, even though I think the mangas are kind of fun. I'm gonna put this here, I think, in C tier, just because it makes more sense to me. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there. We're good. Awesome. Moving on. Okay, now we have Ratchet and Clank Size Matters. Okay, so this is kind of the first time we're actually getting, but I think both of them are getting completely new models, and that's because, you know, it's on the PSP. This is a completely different console, it's a completely different system, even though it was pretty powerful. Like, it was kind of close to the power of, it's like in between a PlayStation 1 and a PlayStation 2, but the design is fine, but I'm not a huge fan of this model, this model, and that's just because of the way they're animated. I think it's just like they seem a little bit off. Even though I like Size Matters, I think it's a fine Ratchet & Clank game that honestly is a bit overhated, but I think the model is definitely on the mediocre side. It's like it's like, oh, yep, another Ratchet & Clank model, okay. But I think that it's, yeah, not quite as good as most of these. So I'm gonna put it here, I think, in C tier for right now. I think that makes sense. It's about in the middle, a little lower end, I guess, of the spectrum. Not horrible, but not great either. Alright, moving on. So this is, again, another, like, this is weirdly specific, but the Ratchet & Clank Tools of Destruction commercial models. And so this is a really interesting one, mainly because they look good. Like, this is kind of like the most drastic change I'd say we've seen so far regarding Ratchet & Clank. They've been pretty much the same as we can look here. Like, it's been pretty, like, samey for the most part. Besides, I guess, besides the Japanese look, like, they look about the same. But this is where we can see, like, okay, it's a little bit different here, right? But I like it. I actually do like this commercial. Now, do I think it's better than some of these? I think it's better than all of these. I will say that. I think for sure it's better than these. But I don't know if it's better really than the PS2 models. That's a bit harder to answer. So I think I'm going to leave it here in A tier for right now. But I do love that commercial. I think that those models are very good. So yeah. Alright, moving on. We have the actual in-game Ratchet & Clank Tools of Destruction models. And so, yeah, this is definitely a lot more drastic, right? Because we're going from the PS2 to the PS3. But I feel like this, when you compare this model to the Ratchet Deadlocked model, it's a bit of a downgrade, at least in Ratchet's perspective. Clank, I think, is an upgrade. I think Clank is better in Tools of Destruction than the PS2 model. But when it comes to Ratchet, he doesn't look quite as good, and that's probably because it was such an awkward transition, right? Like, I mean, it's kind of for most consoles, you have that little bit of awkwardness. We haven't really gotten it this gen because it's just like it's everything stagnating, but I think that this is still a good model. I think that I like this over. I don't know if I'm gonna put it in A tier. I'm gonna put it next to the commercial. I think that the commercial's technically better than the in-game model, but they're about the same. They're pretty much on the same level here, so I think that's fair to put them there. It's just, again, kind of awkward because they tried to do fur textures with Ratchet, and it just doesn't look quite as good. Clank looks better, though. I do think that Clank genuinely, like, you can tell, like, yeah, that's just, like, Clank is improving by, like, having more metallic type of textures, right? Like, he's just being more shiny. Alright, moving on. Oh boy, okay. Okay, so here is a Secret Agent Clank. So, okay, quickly, yes, I know that this is the Secret Agent Clank cover from Japan. This is not the North American look, and that's mainly because I just could not find an image that had both Clank and Ratchet's model from that game for some reason next to each other, so I just went with this. But this is essentially the same as the Size Matters model, except for its Secret Agent Clank. And if I'm being honest, I just don't jibe with it. I don't like it. And so it's gonna be our first one to go into D tier. It's our first one. Yeah. It's just not for me, I guess. It's just really what it is. The design choices. I do love Clank in his, like, secret agent suit, but I don't know, there's something weird about the way Ratchet and Clank, especially Ratchet, is just animated, and I'm not a huge fan. That's just me. So we're gonna just leave them there for right now. All right, moving on. Okay, we have Ratchet & Clank Quest for Booty. Woo! Yeah, so this is, again, basically about the same as the Tools of Destruction models. I think that they are exactly the same. The only difference is now, because they made Tools of Destruction, they probably had a little bit more confidence, like, using these models and, like, animating with them. and I feel like it's about the same, maybe a little bit better. But the real difference here, right, is the suit design, okay? We're gonna, I guess, put that into account here. And that's just like, listen, this armor design for Ratchet is better. It just is. It's better than the pilot suit. Even though I thought the pilot suit was fine, like I liked it when I was younger, I feel like this one is just better now with context, because we've gotten this type of suit, this type of outfit for Ratchet for so long. But I do like this model. I do like the way Clank is. I think Clank is about the same again. Like, he looks good. He's doing good. But yeah, I actually really like this one. So I think I'm gonna put it at the top of A tier, at least for right now. I think that's fair, honestly. Oh boy, okay. Here we go. Alright, so this one I think most people will probably agree with me on. I'd be surprised if not. The Crack in Time Ratchet and Clank models. Oh man, okay, so these guys are awesome. They're amazing. I love them. I love them so much. No, but seriously, the way, like, Ratchet and Clank are animated in this game is crazy. The design of Ratchet's armor is awesome. Clank, you can actually tell Clank looks better in this game than in Tools of Destruction. And I think if you can tell that there was significant change between games with Clank, that, like, that's a jump, man. That's important. And this is just, like, perfect. I feel like this is probably one of the most, or maybe the most, iconic design of Ratchet & Clank, and I am definitely not afraid of putting it right next to the first game, because it's great. It is. It's gonna go in the top triple S tier. I really love the way that they're designed. The Ratchet model, I feel like, has been pretty much like untouched. Like no model after this has quite reached that level, except for recently. Okay, we'll get there when we get there. But these models, both Ratchet and Clank, are great. I could gush about them forever, but we're gonna move on because we still have a ton to get there. Here we have the Ratchet and Clank designs from the comic book, so the 6th issue Ratchet and Clank comics. And listen, I know this is an acquired taste. I know there's a lot of people that do not like the art from the comic books, which is unfortunate, but I'm not one of those people. I like the way Ratchet and Clank look in here. When I was younger, I was kind of like a little off-put, but I don't know, it's really charming to me now, and I actually really, really love the artist who drew Ratchet and Clank here, and along with a bunch of the other characters too. But Ratchet and Clank here are actually really cool, and I like them. I think that they're cool. I don't know why I keep saying that, but yeah, I do. I think that this is actually one of the better Ratchet and Clank designs. Do I think it's better than the Tools of Destruction look? No, I think that it is on this tier though. I think that it is good. I think that is, yeah, that's Ratchet and Clank. But yeah. That's really all I gotta say for that. Read the comics, or I don't know, just check out the Ratchet and Clank comics somewhere, guys. I'm begging you, please. Okay. Here we are. Oh boy. Okay. Ratchet and Clank All for One. So All for One is a very mixed game, I guess I would say, in the Ratchet and Clank fan base. I'd say most people are not a huge fan of All for One. And part of that is the models, is the designs, the way Ratchet and Clank look in this game, because they are definitely more kidified, I guess, child-friendly. And I mean, here's the thing, right? Like, I don't think that this is bad. I think most of these actually aren't bad. But this one, like, it's such a big jump in the middle of the PS3 era to do this, like, especially coming off of the heels of A Crack in Time, which has basically, like, the best design and model for both Ratchet and Clank. To go from that to, like, a very stylistic choice for Ratchet and Clank is nuts. Like, it's actually, I get why this is so controversial. But do I think it's horrible? No. I don't think it's horrible. I do think, though, because it's so controversial, it kind of has to go in C tier. I think it deserves, honestly, to be somewhere in this range. It could be in B tier, I guess, if you have more of a softer spot for it. I have nostalgia for this game, but it's just, there's problems. But this model, I feel like it's just like, again, it was a bit of an awkward change between going from A Crack in Time to this is drastic. It's very drastic. So, yeah, but I still don't think it's as bad as the Secret Agent Clank models, despite them being essentially the same as the Size Matters ones. I stick by it, man. I stick by it. Okay. Moving on. Okay, so we have the PlayStation Move Heroes Ratchet Clank model. So this is a bit of an interesting one because it's just a weird design. Like, I don't know, I don't dislike it though, because I think it's very easy to look at this and be like, well, this isn't, made by Insomniac, so it's not as good, or whatever. I don't know why I made that. I think that this isn't that bad, actually. I actually think that these models are actually quite okay. Like, they did a fine enough job. The problem, I guess, that comes into play is more like, I think the in-game model looks weird. Like, I think that's more of the problem. But when it comes to the CGI model, which is what we're gonna just go off of, we're gonna just combine them together, I think that it's fine. I think that it's on the middle better end of Ratchet Clank models. We're gonna put it here, I think. Yeah, I think that's fair to put it here, because it's like, it really isn't one of the worst Ratchet and Clank designs, but it's also not really one of the better Ratchet and Clank designs and models and media. So we're gonna just put it kind of just right there. Strike in the middle. Okay, sorry about that. So next up we have, oh man, okay. All right, I gotta prepare myself for this one. Woo! Alright. Full Frontal Assault! Okay, so Ratchet & Clank Full Frontal Assault is, it is a game. It sure is. It's something. And the models in this, I feel like, while they are the same as All for One, they feel worse because it just didn't get enough time. Like, if you compare All for One, like, at the very least, you can see, like, it did get time to cook in the oven. Like, they clearly spent a lot of time with it, and you look at the cutscenes, Ratchet has some pretty good expressions, Clank has good expressions, like, it's just very cartoony. But this game just didn't get enough time to cook in the oven, and I think that really just made it worse, unfortunately, for their models. Oh my god, my voice cracked. Whoa. So that's why I think, this is kind of crazy, I'm gonna put it in F tier. I think that, like, it's just so, like, the fact that they kept it exactly the same, they didn't really try to change it, right, because it was rushed. This game was rushed out, and not only that, but it just, like the way they're animated is worse. Like, it's still really good, honestly, like, in an objective standpoint. Like, pretty much every Ratchet & Clank game is animated amazingly, like, beautifully, but I just don't like it. I just don't like it. So I'm putting Full Frontal Assault model down here. So I don't know how people are gonna feel about that one, but yeah. All right, moving on. We have the Ratchet & Clank from PlayStation All-Stars. Okay, I am a big defender of PlayStation All-Stars. I love that game. I think it had plenty of problems, plenty of issues, but a lot of those issues were fair. Like, you could easily fix it in a sequel or a reboot, whatever. You could totally do that. Anyways, sorry, off topic. Ratchet & Clank in this game, though, is an interesting point. A lot of the characters in PlayStation All-Stars look a little off, right? Like, a little bit. But I actually like the way Ratchet & Clank look in this game. I think that they look okay. I think that that they are fine, and some people are just mean. I think that's how I feel about it, and that's because, they do have some really weird, awkward shots in the like story mode for Ratchet and Clank for PlayStation All-Stars. Like those still shots are so uncanny, especially the way Ratchet looks. And then Clank also looked really weird, like his face is kind of, I don't know. But when they're actually in the game, when you're like playing as Ratchet and Clank and you see the way they're animated and you see the cutscenes of like them interacting with Jak and Daxter, it's actually pretty good. Maybe not amazing, but it's pretty good. It's on the better end. So I think I'm gonna actually put it in A tier. I'm gonna put it below the comics, but it's better than these. So I think that's fair. Maybe? I don't know. Moving on. Okay, so here we have, oh man, okay. I almost forgot about this one. The Ratchet and Clank before the Nexus model. This Ratchet and Clank model. Oh man. Sure is something. Yay! Okay, so it's not good. I don't know why I'm trying to defend it. It's not good. It isn't. I'll be honest. And the reason why I say this is because, okay, Ratchet and Clank before the Nexus, which is an endless runner. It's an endless runner that Ratchet and Clank had to promote into the Nexus back in 2013. This model, again, keep in mind, this was made at the end of 2013, like December or something of 2013. Do you know what other games, like apps and stuff, were popular on iOS and Android at the time? Sonic Dash, for example, and the model in that looks good. Like, that looks like Sonic from, like, actual Sonic games. The Ratchet and Clank model here looks weird. It looks like a, much worse version of the Full Frontal Assault model, but not only that, it's, outdated. Like, it looks like a PS1 model. Which is interesting. So it's like, I don't know, in a weird way, I kind of like it for how stupidly, charming it kind of is, but I also think it's not great. It's a very, for being made in 2013, that's kind of, bad. That's not good. So we're gonna put this, in F tier, just because of the fact of that. I think that if it wasn't made in 2013, if it was made earlier, in 2010 or something, 2011, it might be more forgiving because a lot of app games and stuff were of that quality. But I think that it's not great. It's probably the worst Ratchet and Clank model. Next up, we have Into the Nexus. Okay. Now, I love to defend Ratchet and Clank Into the Nexus because I love that game. I think that even though it's really short, it's a great Ratchet and Clank game. I think it's awesome. And with that being said, I actually like the model from Ratchet and Clank Into the Nexus. So this is probably going to be my most controversial placement, probably. And that's because, right, it's so similar to the All for One and Full Frontal Assault models, which, as you've seen, I've put on the bottom, including this one. I've put towards the bottom of this tier list. But Into the Nexus, I think, did a better job. They slightly changed Ratchet's face. I think that he's less squished in the head, as opposed to these guys, which they are literally pugs almost. They're very... It's unfortunate. But here, Ratchet actually looks good. Clank, oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Clank obviously is significantly different in these games as well. He has a huge egg head for some reason. It's huge. But again, I think that I like Into the Nexus. I think that they did I think they were more comfortable with this extra cartoony look, that I'm actually fine with it. And a lot of people are gonna hate me for putting it this high, but I actually really like the Into the Nexus model. Should I put it here? No. Yeah, I'm putting it in S tier. I am. Just because it's so cartoony, it was animated so well, and I think that it was good. I'm just gonna be honest. I thought that it was pretty great. So yeah, we have the Ratchet and Clank movie teaser models. These are very weird, and that's mainly because, they're a teaser trailer, right? Like, this isn't a final thing, and honestly, I was debating about if I should put this one in or not, but I ended up putting it in because I feel like when you talk about Ratchet & Clank models, this one usually comes up, and it's because Ratchet looks so off. He looks so weird. Clank looks good. He looks like he's fine. It looks like the model from 2016 and the movie or whatever. He looks fine, you know, because he's Clank, and he barely ever gets a bad model or design. Ratchet is kind of weird because it feels like one of those like memes when people like put like hyper realistic textures on a character. Like, I think this is the closest we've ever gotten, honestly, to that, which is kind of insane to say because, you know, there's a model later on that's probably closer to that, but I think that this is actually the closest we've gotten to a creepy, hyper realistic looking Ratchet. And because of how off he looks, I have to put him in D tier. I think that I think both of these models are technically better than these two, and that's mainly, I think, carried by Clank. Clank looks fine here. He is animated fine in the teaser trailer. Ratchet also but like, in context with literally all of these other ones, it looks weird. Ratchet just looks so weird, so I kind of have to put it in D tier, for me, just for me. But yeah, moving on, we have the Ratchet & Clank 2016 game, or the PS4 game model. So this model, these models are a bit controversial, and that's mainly because, again, of the way they're animated, and so I kind of agree with it. However, when you look at it from a purely like technical standpoint, Ratchet & Clank do look good here. They do. Like, they look like Ratchet & Clank. It looks like the most like Ratchet & Clank since, you know, these, like, even since Nexus. Even though I love Nexus, like, it does look aesthetically more like Ratchet & Clank. But this is my ranking, and I'm subjective. And because of the way these two are animated, because they're so robotic and it just doesn't feel right? It's very awkward. Like, as you've noticed, as I keep saying, I guess, whenever these games have a first game on their console, I feel like it's kind of awkward, and this one is very obvious in its awkwardness, and so because of that, I have to put it, I think I'm gonna put it at the top of C tier, because I think it is technically better than all of these other ones. And it's even better than some of obviously these other ones, but in an animated standpoint, in a style standpoint, and like design standpoint, both Ratchet and Clank are so like just lifeless almost. It's very weird. So that's why I'm gonna just put them there. I think that makes sense. So we're gonna just do that. Yeah. Alright, next up we have the Ratchet and Clank movie models. So this one's interesting, and I think a lot of people are not gonna like where I put this one, but I'm going off of the models here, okay? I'm not going off of the games or the media that are attached to them necessarily. And I think that the way Ratchet and Clank look and are animated in the movie is actually good. Despite the movie not being good, I think that the way they are designed, the way that, especially like Ratchet, like some of the expressions he makes in that movie is actually pretty good. And when you compare the movie's animation to the PS4 game, it's like astounding, the difference, the complete contrast between those two. It's crazy, honestly. But it's still not the best. I still don't think it's quite as good as like a lot of the other ones that we've talked about. So I'm gonna put it at the top. I think I'm gonna put it here. I'm gonna put it in like a bit of the middle of B tier, just because I think it's better. It is better than these, but I don't think it's quite as good as these guys. Yeah. Screw you. No, I'm just kidding. Alright, we have the Ratchet and Clank Life of Pi models. So this comes from a Ratchet and Clank short film that got leaked, or I don't remember. It got revealed randomly one day while we were all waiting for Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart in 2021. And this random like little animated show of Ratchet and Clank just dropped out of nowhere. And so, where would I rank this? I don't even know. It's very weird. And the way I would describe these models would be that Ratchet and Clank, if they were in that Kung Fu Panda show on Nickelodeon. Does anyone remember that? You remember that show? Yeah, because that's just how they're animated. Ratchet looks off, he looks weird. Clank looks like his movie model, honestly. He looks fine, because that's just how Clank looks. He always looks like that. I think I'm gonna put it at the top of... I'm gonna put it here. I think that's fair to put them there, just because... Yeah, I'm gonna keep it at that. It's just such a weird short. It's not great, and the models are also not great. Even though it would have been interesting to see where a Ratchet and Clank show would go. Just, I think that model, the way they look and are animated, is definitely not as good as these ones, and is even worse than Secret Agent Clank's model. So that's something. But yeah. Alright, last but not least, definitely not least, the Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart models. So this is objectively the best Ratchet and Clank. Like, if I take away my subjective look of, like, how much I love certain or designs, games, or whatever, or animations, this is the best Ratchet and Clank. Like, it is. Like, from a purely technicality standpoint, they are the best Ratchet and Clank models. So I am gonna put it in the triple S tier, but I don't think it's quite as good as these two. And that's just mainly from a more nostalgic standpoint and how much I just love the way, I guess, that these two are animated. And Rift Apart, there's a lot of great, amazing things, and especially what's cool with Rift Apart is, this is the first time we actually could put different armors and designs for Ratchet, so you could actually wear, like, the Ratchet Deadlocked armor for him, or you could put on, say, the Kraken Time armor, or Golden Commando armor. Like, it's very cool. But despite that, I have such a huge attachment to these two. I love them so much that like, they just can't be beat. They can't be beat in my brain. But the Rift Apart models they're great. They're amazing. So yeah. So this has been my ranking of the Ratchet and Clank models, and some media in there as well. Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys want to do this ranking, I have this published on the Tier Maker website. I'll link it in the description. I'll link it probably in some other places. So if you want to do your own ranking, you can join me. Yeah, woo. Yeah. So this is it. It's my final ranking. I'm curious to see what you guys say. So yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.